Hey, if you're new to this channel, my name is James Hodges and I am the founder of REI Game Changers, and this channel is all about helping wholesalers and flippers build seven-figure businesses that can run without them. Now, in this video, I want to show you step by step how I was able to get my first wholesale deal within 3 weeks of starting from ground zero. Now, before you start wholesaling, there are a couple of things that you want to have in place before you actually start your marketing. Now, with wholesaling, we are going to be doing a real estate transaction, so we want to have an active real estate contract that is valid in our state. So we want to make sure that we have an active real estate contract that is a purchase and sale agreement that we are going to use to sign an agreement with a homeowner to purchase their house. So if you don't have a purchase and sale agreement, then you can click the link in the description and I will provide for you a free seller contract that you can use in your business. This is the exact same contract that I use. Now, once you have your seller contract in place, you want to go find a local title company in your market that is investor friendly. So you want to go to Google, search the title companies in your market, and you want to call them up, ask them if they are familiar with real estate investing. Are they familiar with wholesaling? Do they work with other wholesalers in your market? So once you find an investor-friendly title company, now you are all set and ready to go to start your marketing efforts to try and generate your first deal. Now, when I first started my marketing efforts, I had my contract, I called my title companies, and then I went through a course on how to actually evaluate houses, how to evaluate comps, how to evaluate repair costs, and I will attach some of those videos down below this video. So once I figured out how I was going to evaluate the repair cost, how I was going to evaluate the deal and make an offer on it, I was then ready to start my marketing efforts. And so when I first started, I started out with a strategy called bandit signs. Now, if you aren't familiar with bandit signs are plastic signs that you can either handwrite on them or you can buy them that come already printed. And basically, bandit signs are signs that you're either sticking in the ground on the side of the road or you're putting on a telephone pole. That's the most common places that you're going to put a bandit sign. And the goal is that if somebody is actually motivated to sell their house, they're going to see that bandit sign and you're going to have a phone number that they can call on that bandit sign, and they're going to call the phone number. And if they call that phone number, they should actually be pretty motivated to sell their house. So what I did when I first started was I went to Home Depot and I bought all the plastic white signs that they had at, I think it was like 50 signs at Home Depot. And then I went to Lowe's and I did the same thing. I bought one of the fattest black Sharpie markers that I could find. And I went back to my apartment and I hand wrote 100 bandit signs. So in my apartment, I spent probably 4 hours handwriting 100 bandit signs, we buy houses, fast cash, and then my phone number. Now, for the phone number, the one that I personally used was GoDaddy SmartLine. And I believe it was $10 a month at the time when I signed up for it. And it literally acts as a second phone line for your cell phone. So you can use that for the bandit signs. You can use it to call sellers with. It's a second phone line that rings directly to your cell phone. And I knew that anybody was calling from that phone line, it was real estate related. So I set up my GoDaddy SmartLine and got it synced on my phone. And then I wrote my GoDaddy number on all of the bandit signs. Now, once I got all of these written, I started to plaster these all over my city. And it took me 2 or 3 nights to put all of them out. And I would start at about 8 or 9 p.m. at night where it was completely dark and there were less people on the streets because I didn't want people getting angry at me or yelling at me or anything. And I would go out and corner by corner, I would post bandit signs and I would put them on telephone poles. I didn't put a ton in the ground with stakes, but most of my bandit signs were posted on telephone poles, and I would take a small step stool with me, and that way I could put them up high enough to where somebody couldn't reach them if they were just walking by. Because what can happen with bandit signs is another wholesaler can drive by and they will take them down, or some of the code enforcement people will take them down off the telephone poles. But if you put them up high enough, then it will prevent other wholesalers or code enforcement people from taking them down for the most part. Now, as far as the nails that I would use, I would recommend to get roofing nails that have this little plastic circle around the nail so that it really secures the bandit sign onto the telephone pole. And I put out 100 of these bandit signs. And literally, I mean, it cost me less than $100 to put out these bandit signs. And a couple of days later, phone calls started coming in. Now, the first couple of phone calls were contractors or painters asking if I needed any contractors or painters. And then my third phone call that I received from the bandit signs was a woman who was actually interested in selling their house. And so when she called, she said, hey, I have a house out in this city and I actually interested in selling it. She said, my husband passed away and the house was his. I inherited the house and I don't want to be a landlord anymore. And I was ecstatic whenever I got this phone call. There is nothing better than when you receive a phone call from an actual motivated seller who's ready to sell their house. So I went over there and I was nervous as all get out. And I could not believe that this lady was actually wanting to sell her house. And so I walked through the property. And even though I had watched a course on how to evaluate the house, I really didn't have any idea what I was doing. And I did my absolute best at running comps. And I didn't have as thorough of a training videos I will attach for you guys on how to evaluate properties. But I had enough training to where I made her an offer and she accepted the offer right there on the spot. And then right after that, we drove to a coffee shop to sign the contract. And that's how it happened. Literally, it was that fast. Within a matter of days of putting out these bandit signs, I had a motivated seller call me and was able to get the property under contract within 24 hours of actually seeing the property. Now, that's not where the story ended, because getting the property under contract was just the first step. So once I submitted that contract to the title company, they started running a title search on the property. Now, whenever they run the title search, they are looking for liens, they're looking for judgments, they're looking for basically anything that could hold the property back from closing. And so when the title company ran the title search on this property, they called me and they said, hey, we have bad news. They said, we don't know that we're going to be able to actually close this property because there is a $75,000 judgment lien against this property. And the judgment lien was against the husband who used to own the property. And we don't know if we're going to be able to close this. Now, if you aren't familiar with what a judgment lien is, it is a lien that somebody can put against a property and that can hold the property back from closing. And so I didn't know what a judgment lien was. I said, is there anything that we can do to get this removed or get the judgment lien reduced so that we can actually close? Because our purchase price on that property was only $47,000 and this judgment lien was $75,000. So the judgment lien was actually more than what we were purchasing the property for. Now, we were able to actually negotiate with the lien holder to get them to reduce the lien amount, and they were able to do a partial release of the lien specifically for that property. Now, that may sound complicated. I worked very closely with the title company. The title company actually helped me with all of this. They helped me with the negotiation. They helped me determine the language that I would use because I was brand new and I had no idea what any of this meant, which may be the situation that you're in. And so we finally were able to get the judgment lien released. And the way that I was able to sell this property, I actually went to Facebook and I went into a local Facebook group. And inside of that Facebook group, it was a county trading post group that is a buy, sell, and trade group that there were thousands of people in. I posted the property for sale. Now, I have better ways to find buyers now, and I've got videos that will show you exactly how to find buyers. But this is how I was able to find buyers because I didn't know any other way to find buyers. And I posted that I was going to be doing an open house on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. and I posted a picture of the house and a couple of the other photos of the house. I mean, it was a very much a real estate investment property. It needed a lot of work. And there were probably 10 people that showed up to look at this house. And one of the guys that showed up walked in, looked around the house, and within 3 minutes of walking in that door, he said, "Yep, I'll take it. Will you sign a contract right now?" And I was astounded. I was literally shocked whenever he said that. And so because I was brand new and I didn't know how to do negotiations, I didn't know how to vet buyers, I just knew that there was a buyer who was ready to sign a contract for this property, and we were about to get our first wholesale deal. Now I say we because when I first started, my brother was actually helping me. He was tagging along with me, and so he was there at the open house. And when that buyer said he was ready to sign the contract, all I knew was he was ready to sign, and I jumped on it and signed the contract. And that first deal ended up making me $4,500. And I ended up splitting that profit with my brother because he helped me put out some bandit signs and he helped me show the property. And that was how I closed my first deal, $4,500. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but for me at the time, it was a proof of concept. And it showed me that this business was real and that I could actually make money in real estate without having to buy houses, which was incredible. And the year before I started wholesaling, I made $17,000 total for that entire year. So I just made a fourth of my total income in one deal. Now, right after I got this first deal closed, I was actually able to get 2 other deals under contract within 2 weeks after this. And those next 2 deals ended up making me a total of $30,000. And that $30,000 literally changed the course of my life. And that is how fast your life can change whenever you start wholesaling real estate. Because usually after you get going in real estate and you get your first deal under contract, usually your second and third deal come really soon after that, because you put all of this work into generating motivated seller leads. And usually deal number 2 and number 3 are right behind that first one. Now, that is literally step by step how I got my first deal, how I sold my first deal, and the good, bad, and the ugly for getting that first deal done. That same process can still work in today's market, but that's just one way that you can get your first deal. Bandit signs still work in today's market, and it worked for me. I was able to get my first deal within 3 weeks of starting my wholesaling business. Hey, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did find the video helpful, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so that we know that you enjoyed it and we can make more videos like this in the future. Also, make sure to leave a comment down below in the comment section if you have any questions so that we can get your questions answered ASAP. And then lastly, if you want more training every single week on how to grow your wholesaling or flipping company to the 7-figure level and beyond, make sure to click the subscribe button and turn all of the notifications on so that you never miss a training video on how to grow your wholesaling business to 7 figures and beyond.